Hey guys, it's Chris with Team Tempo. I'm just going to bring you a really quick deck profile of what I brought to the Rosemont Regional. I went X4, didn't do so hot, but I had a lot of fun. There were a lot of good players there, got to meet a lot of people, and I'll show you what I played. Obviously, I played Floo, one of my favorite decks. I've been playing it since they came out, so I'll show you what I played. I played the pretty standard roundup of birds. With 3 Rabina, 3 Eaglin, a Stree, and a Toucan. This is fairly standard there. How are people starting to play the 2 Toucan? It pairs really well if you're playing Cowrie. And I probably would have played a second one if I could get my hands on one. But I thought there was a better option that I'll show you later in the deck profile that I thought just helped me out a little bit more than playing the second Toucan. I played the 2 Impin. Pretty standard. People are starting to play 3. I can see why you would play 3, because if you were to brick on a big bird, you would want it to be this one. It is the best bird to brick on, people say, but I'm just trying not to brick, so I'm not going to play too many big birds. I'd rather see as many playable cards as I can. So I play 3 map, 3 quick play, and 1 of the continuous spells. Continuous spell is broken, as everyone will say. This card is pure cancer for a lot of people to deal with. The quick play dodges hand traps. This card also won me in time a couple times at the regional as well. And map is just the best extender for this deck. I don't think you could ask for anything more for this. Lets you play around Droll with the correct hand and stuff. So definitely a required card to play 3-Ev. I played 1 of the trap. The trap lets you play on your opponent's turn whenever you want, instead of having to trigger the map when your opponent normal summons. Really good card. Also books things. I did this against a Snake Eye player. He had 4 level 1s out, and I booked them all so he couldn't send them to graveyard in any way, shape, or form, and it was really good. Also clogged his field, so he couldn't really do too much with it, so I think he just had put an Ash out and then passed and hoped I couldn't deal any damage. But we were going into time, and I used the quick play to gain life, and I won in life points. But that's all the Floo cards. Going into like the supplementary stuff, I played the Shifter, of course, because we don't really care about our stuff getting banished, and other decks definitely do. So any way to like put yourself at an advantage with your opponent is needed to win, basically. I also played a Di-Fi. This is the card I put in instead of playing the second Toucan. More ways to interact with like the graveyard, the better. Seeing as like a lot of the decks around nowadays are really graveyard based, and they cannot play through these cards as well as we can. In fact, we play super well under these cards. So also protects us from like Droll and Effect Veiler and stuff. So also could be used as a protection card as well. The consistency cards, dualities, prosperities. These are like required 3-ofs. If you don't want to get prosperities, you could get extravs. There's been some theories with extrav over this because you're not showing what your opponent, or showing to your opponent what you're playing, which is pretty big brain. I don't think at the end of the day it really matters, because with Floo you either draw the perfect hand and blow them out, or you break and lose. That's generally how it works with this deck at a higher skill level. Also played 2 Cowrie. This card was okay. It was an easy side out for me. It is like a semi-consistency card, but there were times where I probably would have wanted to see like a higher power card rather than more consistency, weirdly enough, because this deck is known for bricking. So the trick with this card, though, is that you don't really want to activate it unless a bird's on the field, which can be tricky, because if you have like an Eaglin, you're trying to get a Rabina, and you don't have anything else, they can Ash the Eaglin. You're kind of screwed either way, even if you Cowrie it. So definitely an okay card. I'm still probably going to play it. I think it has more pros than cons, to be honest. But for me, it was still an easy side out for like better cards for a matchup. Of course, I played Big Bird, a big green bird guy. Rises wins games, and some people can't play like a negate or 2 negates off a turn with this card because you could normal summon it again. These cards are almost required to play. You could side out the Apex Avian for something else. I think it just brings too much utility. Being able to search it off of Eaglin. Also, having more different named birds keeps your Eaglin live later into the game too, because we can beat a lot of other decks in the grind. I played one of these guys, the Samoric Bird of Perfection. Blocking effects, or chain blocking effects, is really good, especially with Appaloosa running around with like Snake Eye. Having them to negate, like you Rabina it into Eaglin, and then they negate the Eaglin and banish. You just search the Eaglin, you normal the Eaglin, and then trigger this on normal of Eaglin. Then they have to negate this, and then you do the whole thing, and then you do the Rabina effect to add back chain blocking Impin. This card's good for that particular interaction. I think I'm going to continue playing it for sure. Then I played the little thrust package with Terraforming, Featherstorm, and Evenly. This was really good. I searched Terraformer with this probably more often than I ever have in my life at this regional. Definitely saved me a few games. I don't think I've used thrust more so in like a tournament setting than at this regional. This was probably the MVP setup, including the fact that I played 3 Evenlies instead of just 1. My first 4 rounds I won because I kept drawing evenly. Definitely just blowing people's boards out was kind of crazy constantly every round. I think playing 3 evenly was a really good choice for this regional that I went to. I'll go ahead and go to the extra deck, even though it doesn't really pertain to too much. At the regional, I only went into the extra deck once, and it was definitely a really bad decision to do, but I think it was the only option I had at the time. But you play the Lyrilisk, the Downard, and the Zeus. There are times where I wish I had a Typhon, but even if I did have a Typhon, I feel like if I am having to make a Typhon or a Zeus, I'm probably already in a losing situation. So I just want to stick to just these. I don't think I would really need to spend the amount of money a Typhon costs for me to almost lose the game anyway, even though it would probably turn it around, but I'm stuck with no birds because they're under my Typhon. I played this as a funny time card. Never made it, but if I make this, that means I'm probably already winning the game. I guess it's more for like BM. I don't know. Cerberus, I only really make this if they make Baguska. Because Baguska is a card that kind of screws us over. Being able to pop it and just be able to play on the next turn's okay. Just kind of sucks that I have to special summon this card instead of being able to play my own game. Also have Unicorn. Again, never really had to make it unless they make a second Baguska, I guess. But yeah, it's there just in case. I play 2 Anima, again for a Baguska in case they put it in the not safe zones. Again, never had to make it. People generally know about Anima zones at this point, with Snake Eyes playing it now too. But yeah, I got to play 2 Underworld Goddess. This deck has issues outing Noirs and unaffected card effects things like Raid Raptors, which I did go against at this regional. Never had to make it. Well, I definitely did have to make it because I did go against Raid Raptor and I lost that game. But there's no way I was going to be able to climb into this with what I had. So if you're making this against a Pearly player or a like a Chaos Angel or something like that, they should lose because, man, that means you got 4 birds out somehow. These cards don't really matter. I had an IP and an access code talker. I'm probably sure that I could have made an access code talker a couple of times, but I didn't really need to. They scooped before I can even make that decision. If I'm thinking about making this, that means I'm probably already winning the game. And then these are just in case I play some weird Dogmatica stuff. Also thought about playing Ultimate Slayer, and then decided not to and left these in. I just always like having these in for those types of decks, because this is, if something's removed from the field or something, you could spin it, and this is just a pop. So might as well, you gotta stay honest with yourself, as a wise man once told me in a video. That is the extra deck. We'll go on to the side. My side's a little weird. There was a video I saw of a guy that topped the YCS regional or something like that, and he made some good points, and I sort of followed suit on his side deck a little bit with a little bit of twist, but I'll show you what I took from him. It was the 2 Lightning Storm and a Cosmic. It made sense to do this because I'm not really reacting to any back row too much anymore. I mean, sure, Cosmic is really good against like the Runic matchup, because we can just banish the Fountain or whichever, but I wasn't really expecting to play against too much Runic, and I never did, thank God. But the times I did put in the Lightning Storm, it was against like Snake Eye matchups, and I would always draw a Lightning Storm with an Evenly, and that is kind of crazy because if they have the island out with their full board, you would Lightning Storm their back row, Fire King Island destroys all their monsters, they do all their effects in grave with Flamberge and whichever, who cares, and then you just Evenly them, and then that kind of just boned and left naked, not too much else to do. So it was a really good combination of cards for me to play, but I played 2 Jeweler, never saw it, definitely wanted to see it against some Appaloosa boards. A lot of smart people with Appaloosa chaining their effects correctly. Shout out to my round 5 opponent. He's got the biggest brain I've ever seen on a lad. But if I wish I saw that card against him, but I sure didn't. I played 3 Nibiru. I only sided in this card once against Raider Raptors, even though I know for a fact they could play through this. Yeah, I feel like siding in it against like Snake Eye wouldn't even do too much, especially if I'm putting in Lightning Storms and Evenlies. I feel like this card would be a little bit of a waste if I also put it in with it. I might be reconsidering putting this into the side, but I'll have to do a little bit more testing with that, I guess. My going first cards, I played a Trap Trick, a Featherstorm, Featherstorm. This card wins games if you don't brick with it. I also put in some D-Barriers too. Trap Tricking into D-Barrier won me a game against Branded. Yeah, they just couldn't do anything. They also accidentally special summoned a Cartesia in attack position while I had an Impin out. It's probably also why I won that game as well. But I think this could do a lot of work against even Pearly and stuff like that. Card's really good. Centurion, super good. The last 2 cards on my side were Called By and Herald of the Abyss. I play this because, again, we can't really do anything about cards that are unaffected by card effects. So I know that there are Pearly players that were coming here. Shout out to Mr. Medina. But I play this card for the Pearly matchup mostly. I know that they could probably get another body out with it, but I have to pray that this works. So because it is the only thing I got. And then called by if I'm going first. I hate getting hand trapped, especially at the best times possible. So it's just figuring out what time I need to use this, rather than like when they should be using their hand trap. I need to stop them from hitting the pivotal part of my play. So this card is really good. I never really... I saw it once. I bricked against my round 5 opponent. I banished their poplars so they couldn't game me the next turn, and then I drew another map for turn, so I still lost anyway, but it bought me a turn. So it had more power than I expected the one time I drew it. So but that is my profile. Shout out to the guys that I came with, which is Cole, Sang, Greg, Caleb. They're great guys. They also have videos on the channel. They do the podcast and stuff like that. And Caleb has a ton of deck profiles on our channel as well. Check those out. And if you have any questions or feedback about the deck profile, leave them in the comments. Subscribe. We do go to regionals here in the Midwest, so if you see us, say hi, stuff like that. So thank you guys. Take care.